Hey and welcome to Kids From Yesterday, a podcast where we talk about
stuff
and things. We do this every time.
We do it every time. We're on our 10th. We're on our 10th episode now, and we still don't know how to introduce it naturally.
I mean, I don't know about you. I've listened to like hundreds of episodes of
other podcasts.
Yeah, and nobody knows how to start an intro. I think unless you start strong and know what you're doing, you're never going to start a podcast the way you want to. So I'm Courtney.
And I'm Clodagh.
And this is our theme song. So, it's been a little while since we've done a general chitty chat episode.
Yeah.
Don't know why somebody's gonna make a song out of that, aren't you? Fuckers. Yeah, it's been a while since we did. The last one we talked about aliens pretty much a lot and my fear of space, and I just thought it was time for another
episode where we will probably end up talking about aliens in space at some point. Something that is alien to me, like that's a nice link into the first thing we're going to talk about, is My Chemical Romance. The idea of them not getting back together is an alien concept because it has to happen. But earlier last week, they released a new line of merchandise.
Yeah, which upset everybody because people got a
email
saying new My Chemical Romance merch.
Yeah, it's and not music. So the new merchandise is like distress look, kind of their old school kind of like 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge kind of look.
It's cool. I wanted the 3 Cheers shirt, but it's out of stock, so I have it. Like I've asked for an email. Please email me to tell me new My Chemical Romance merch.
Yeah, and you can get it on. I seen it on the Warner Music website.
Yeah, that's where I looked.
Okay, that's where you can get it if you're interested in having a look at it. There is no reunion for My Chem. I mean, confirmed. It's something that's been speculated hugely, mainly by me, in that the fact that it's 2019 and their album Danger Days is set in 2019. So here we are now, 2019. We're in the future.
It's bulletproof.
The aftermath is
secondary.
But yeah, it was speculated as well. Joe Jonas was talking some big lip in an interview,
and Frank Guerrero did not. I mean, we posted this on our Facebook, Kids From Yesterday Pod, if you're looking for us. But it was an interview he did. He did an interview with a few different stations. So Kerrang had one, but he responded to the Joe Jonas stuff with like, "You're a Disney band, bro." Like,
why are you talking about an emo band?
But actually, my favorite thing, and he deleted it, but it was like just after he was in Russia, I think at the time, and it was just after Joe Jonas had like gone, "Oh hey, aren't those guys whatever?"
Yeah.
And he did a video where he stuck like tape over his eyebrows to make them look like huge, like the Jonas Brothers, and he turned around and he was like, "Hey, I heard the Ramones are playing down the hall. Aren't those guys dead?" And like he deleted it, but it was the funniest thing. I was like, "You are my favorite."
I seen it. That was hilarious.
Also, speaking of Frank Guerrero, he has not aged. He's like Benjamin fucking Button or something. No, he's not aging backwards. He's just like, he's 38 and he has.
I can't believe he's 38.
And the face of a youth.
I love him.
Yeah. No, but it's like
obsessed.
Like Jared has aged normally.
Yeah.
Like Mikey kind of looks the same as well. Like he hit a point of like looking like he does now, and he hasn't changed at all. Like Jared is the only one aging with his age.
As a dad.
Yeah, he's Frank is like, "Hello, I am young and beautiful."
Frank is so beautiful. Ridiculous. I'm so distracted now. He did say though that as regards to the reunion, he did say, "I survived a bus accident, so anything is possible." Dun dun dun. Now I'm taking from that is, so you know the way Taylor Swift like cookie crumbs, like she drops hints about stuff that's to come, especially through her Instagram, and I'm gonna cling on to that sentence for dear life.
Look, after the Fall Out Boy hiatus, and after that, we talked about this in episode 5 when I got a DM from Patrick Stump and there was a whole big thing, but the day before Fall Out Boy were announced as reunifying.
Reuniting.
Thank you.
Reunifying.
I'm a writer. The day Fall Out Boy were announced as getting back together. Literally there was an interview released on Kerrang or one of those websites the day before, maybe it was Roxanne, where he was like, it's not happening, people need to stop saying this is happening or whatever, and I was like, nobody trusts any of you liars. But like since that I'm never gonna trust anybody saying that.
Same.
So when he's like, oh, I don't know, and I'm like, you lie.
Absolutely.
Even though like I imagine they're just not cutting it out. I know their touring manager passed away from cancer, and Jared said that whenever he sings on stage or like performs in any way again, that he'll always remember her because she was like the beating heart of like their band or whatever. But it's just, I thought it was really interesting that in paying tribute to her, he also talked about getting on stage, and not to take somebody's like heartfelt message about somebody that they loved and that they cared about and make it into like, oh, maybe they're getting back together again. I just mean it in like, I thought it was really interesting that something that was so emotive for him, he couldn't imagine not performing again and remembering her. So it's like, and some part of him is going to always be a performer, and I think some part of all of them, they're always going to be musicians.
I think in a way as well, like I am hanging on to that with Your Life. I think that there is, you know, from what you've said about Patrick Stump DMing you and stuff like that, I don't trust a word that any of them are saying. In the sense that they're definitely, if they're planning a secret reunion, they're not gonna, you know, give us away anything. The only other thing I would say is that obviously with the merchandise drop, like, is that what they're giving us for 2019 because their people are expecting something this year? Is that all we're getting, or is it some way of them, like, you know, dangling a carrot and saying, are our fans actually interested if in us getting back together? Like, is that their way of seeing?
I mean, all you have to do is look at your @ mentions on Twitter, but
yeah,
I mean, is the appetite still there? Do people still give a shit? And yes.
Are people still buying?
Yes. Yeah, which they are. That thing's sold out. Like, I checked it later on in the day because I looked at the US store and all the t-shirts are like $35. And people were like, I'm not paying $35 for a distressed t-shirt. But then when I looked on the Warner site, and they're all like $20-24, and I was like, that's more like it.
Yeah.
But they were all gone. So there is an appetite for these things. I don't know if it was just Warner going, like, maybe that was in a contract that they could, like, on anniversaries or whatever, release merch lines or do something. You don't know what their agreement was.
Yeah.
If this means anything, if it doesn't. But I do think it's interesting that it sold out so quickly. That, like, it's proof that, yeah, people can still kind of give a fuck.
They do give a fuck.
Yeah.
Another band that don't really know what they're doing next, Paramore, recently in an interview at Entertainment Tonight, she was actually doing an interview with Brian from Good Die Young about that brand. She was kind of talking
Sponsor us.
Yeah, she was kind of talking about Paramore, and she said she didn't really know what was next for them. She did say that she had dinner you know, with the guys recently, and they were really enjoying kind of being at home, being adults and being friends without the kind of musical aspect of things. Yeah. Which is interesting because Paramore, while they haven't broken up, like you've said before on this podcast, that they're comfortable in just being themselves, and they can release music whenever. They're not under pressure. They're not under pressure from a record label. Like, maybe and the fans a bit, but
I feel like FBR kind of know that they can throw out a record every 2-3 years and people will still keep coming to see the shows. They'll still pull in headliners. I feel like they have a lot of scope and a lot of trust that a lot of bands don't have. And part of that may be just that Hayley's in an airtight contract that, like, suits her, but I don't know. I think that's the really interesting thing about the music industry is you don't know this shit until you're actually in there working in those upper levels and knowing what's in those contracts and what people get. But it does seem to me like she's got a lot of freedom that other artists don't, and it doesn't mean it's not hard for her to write music. It doesn't mean it's not hard for her to live the life, but I do think they have maybe a little bit more scope to do things more freely. Like,
she did post like a screenshot or, you know, a short muted video of a track back in June, I think it was.
Yeah.
And and it was labelled number 1.
Yeah.
And then she took a social media break. And in that interview with Entertainment Tonight, she did apologise. She was like, I shouldn't have really done that.
Yeah.
She kind of felt guilty that she kind of left it on a cliffhanger because people were expecting that, oh, she's gone on a social media hiatus because they're about to release something. Again, we don't trust anything our favourite artists say. Maybe they're about to drop something as a surprise. We don't really know. So I feel like, yeah, it especially with the way promotion has gone, I feel like it's the way music is promoted has changed a lot, in that bands can drop surprise albums.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're still just as successful as if they had like months of marketing behind them. So it's very like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah, and I think, like, I mean, Zach's been touring with his band. I can't remember what they're called.
A Half Noise.
Half Noise, thank you. Like, he's been out and doing stuff with Half Noise and like living his life and stuff. And I think it's just, if you can do it, you can do it. And I think it's good to be able to go between projects and not only focus on something.
Yeah.
Like, I think music and creative industries, like, there's a lot of pressure on creators to continue to put out work at a rate that the fans are consuming it, but fans are consuming things at much faster rates.
So fast.
Like, think about like to the 60s when like Beatlemania was around and they could release an album every couple of years or whatever, but like people listened to them over and over again and people didn't get bored of music because it wasn't all moving on as quickly as like you know, it's changed so much in the last like 50-60 years, because the 60s was a very long time ago.
It was.
I've just realised it's a very long time ago, but it's changed so much, especially when streaming came along. And like, I think it's much harder now to maintain like a love for the industry, and I imagine it takes a lot, especially if a band has been away for a while. It probably takes a lot to get back into it, to do it.
Yeah. The idea as well that I think, like you said, they can just drop an album whenever they want to, and because music has changed in the way that people are consuming it, like, people are consuming things so fast and want new, and they're going to move to bands that are providing new. Like
smaller bands who are providing attention, who are providing new music, who are providing small tours, intimate like settings, you know, merch that nobody else has, like all these things that are like novelties. And then
exactly
when the band signs to a major label, which is obviously most bands' goals because people want money, because they need to live, like, you know, like, we have created this capitalist society where you need money to exist, and when bands do that, there's like a backlash of like, how dare you take this personal private thing away from me. And
that does happen, but I feel like there are certain bands who can go away like there aren't as many bands that can go away like Paramore are, like, for sure, and people are going to find their music in those smaller bands. But when bands like Paramore do come back, they're still going to have their fans, like Fall Out Boy would.
Like Paramore would, Fall Out Boy would, My Chem would, if they decided to come back.
Absolutely.
Like Brendan Urie, if he went away for a couple of years,
which he hasn't done.
No, but he could.
Like,
even when he was touring Kinky Boots, like, he, you know, I think that was at the end of the To Live to Live era. So it just feels like it's always go, but like, he has the option to step away if he wanted to. So it's hard to know what's actually going to happen. But it's interesting that she said that she's enjoying not doing stuff. Yeah.
Another band that I would love to see reunite, who had a very good album anniversary last week.
I bet you can all guess. Take a shot if you get it right.
Cobra Starship. I can't believe that album is 10 years old. Now, I made the mistake last year of thinking it was 10 years old last year and having an absolute meltdown. I was like, oh my god, I'm so old. It's been 10 years since I met them. It's been 10 years since this album came out. And then I was like, oh, it's only been 9 years. Whew. And now I'm like, oh shit, it's nearly 10. Like,
oh my god, it's been 10 years?
It's the 10 now. I just cannot believe that the album came out 10 years ago. I'm kind of shocked. I was 15. Peak emo. It was 2009. That was the peak emo time. Looking back, my friends and I made a music video for Hot Mess, which is the lead single from that album. We made a music video for that song to give to the band. And Courtney, I must show it to you.
Please do.
Because it is the funniest thing ever. It's set in Navan Shopping Centre. I play the problem child that's in the video, and it's just me with like a dark hood and like I'm like, you know, looking moody on a staircase, and it's just
I feel like if I were to set up Patreon, top tier Patreon, get access to this video.
Oh my god, yeah. We were actually talking about Patreon, like, what extra content could we give? Do we have time for extra content?
I think
this is
like, if you give us $1,000 a month, we'll let you watch this video.
There is another video that I have. This is off topic, but it's a music video to Umbrella that I did with my friend. Like, she actually works in the film industry now, which is incredible. But when
it's incredible, she went from that to that.
Yeah, so we were like, oh, let's make a music video. So I was 12. It was the Umbrella song by Rihanna. And we were like, how can we make this? And of course I thought like, oh, we can edit the background to make it look, you know, like black and have fake rain and everything. Sure, I don't know how to use a computer, so I don't know where I was getting these ideas from. But we recorded a music video for it in my mom's shower, and I had an umbrella, and like it's just horrendous. My necklace breaks. I like pick it up and start swinging it around. I think that could be top tier. Like, my boyfriend hasn't even seen the video yet. Like, it's top secret. Like, only a few eyes have seen that video, and it's even worse than the Cover Starship one.
I'm so happy that that's out there somewhere in the world.
My life has just been one big embarrassment.
But this is what I keep telling like people. Like, if you want to share stories with us, or you have something you want us to talk about, nothing is more embarrassing than the shit we've done.
Yeah,
so, like,
nothing could
don't
shock us.
Feel like you can't because we'll laugh or judge you. No.
Like, Courtney and I, like, we met through a fandom for another band that we won't even mention the name of them because
it's not happening.
It's that embarrassing.
Yeah.
But like, nothing could, like, we have many embarrassing stories from that fandom that like we will never, maybe top tier or grand one.
Nope.
No all our secrets. That we will never even go into. So nothing will shock us.
No, and like, yeah, there's just nothing you could tell us that would make us go, oh. I was about to segue in with, speaking of embarrassing, but it's not. That's really mean and really horrible. I wanted to talk about Simple Creatures.
So yeah, speaking of embarrassing.
No, so Simple Creatures, it's Mark Hoppus of Blink-182 and Alex Gaskarth from All Time Low. It is their,
it's
like,
All Time Blow, Courtney.
She's so funny, guys. She's so funny. Well, this is their like side pet project because All Time Low are currently recording a new album, and Blink came off a big tour, and they were both like, Alex and Mark were a bit like, what do I do now? So they came up with Simple Creatures, which they said is supposed to be like pop emo goths kind of vibes. I don't love it. Like, and I think that's really funny is the polarizing between like all of Alex's fans are like, yeah, I love this is amazing, you're so cool, and then all of Mark Hoppus's fans are like, what are you doing with All Time Low? Like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you make real music?
Me.
So I don't like it. You ever seen the IT Crowd?
No.
Okay, well,
that took way too long.
No, there's it's not gonna make any sense to you, but there's a quote in it where Jen wants to be the event manager, and she's like, I'm gonna go for the event manager job, and everybody just keeps going, it's not for you, Jen. And I just feel like when I talk about Simple Creatures, somebody behind me is going, it's not for you, Jen.
It's not for you, Jen.
And I mean, the thing is, like, it's not for me, Jen, but Mark and Alex are like, well, it's pulled us out of depression and it helped us like deal with the fact that we're not on tour. And Alex was like, well, I go a bit like loopy when I've been at home, because I imagine if your job is to tour,
yeah,
and then you come home and you're like, I can't do my job right now, it must be quite difficult to deal with. So I can appreciate from that perspective that they're doing something fun. They're trying to make it not sound like either of their bands, that it's not just like them doing the same thing again. It's like a new creative venture. They're on the same label so that they have the means to do this. So like, there's no harm in it. It's not for me.
It's just not for you. To be honest, I haven't heard any of their stuff. It doesn't really interest me, in mainly because Alex Gaskarth, and I just don't have any, like, you know, I don't like All Time Low, but just in the sense that my expectations are low as it is going into it, that I feel like it wouldn't be for me, so I don't want to waste my time.
Yeah, like, I guess my issue with it, and like, this is, you know, if you like this, tell us why. Tell us what about it makes you happy. Like maybe
Yeah.
it's the fact that it is a little fun and a little different. I just feel like it's not different enough. I feel like they're both very like much set in that like they've been doing this for years and years and years. Mark knows what his band sounds like, Alex knows what his band sounds like, and I imagine it's very difficult to suddenly veer off that, especially when they've both kind of done experimentally type things. Like I feel like Neighborhoods, yeah, was I'm such a big fan, but like Neighborhoods was like a departure from what they normally sounded like, because they did like Ghost on the Dance Floor and stuff.
Yes.
That was different from other things they had done before, and like All Time Low, as we've spoken about before, have done like Lost and Renegade, and like even Dirty Work was such a departure. Dirty Work worked. Don't think Lost and Renegades did. Kind of hoping the next record is,
if it's a return to, like I said, the only All Time Low album I actually like. I do like Nothing Personal, but I really like Dirty Work in the sense that I'm like embarrassed that I like it. But it is a really good album, in the sense that, like, Courtney's like, oh, it's my favourite album ever.
It is my favourite album ever. Go away.
It is quite good, but it's just I don't like. I feel like I'm going to justify why I don't like All Time Low.
You don't have to justify why you don't like why you like.
Okay, great.
Yeah. okay, fine. I just think you're stupid.
But I think if when I did like All Time Low, like during the Nothing Personal stage, where I was like, oh, these guys are so cool, and like obviously loving Blink-182, if they had done it then, I would have been like, wow,
Like all over it.
Two of my favourite worlds colliding. But now it's like, oh, All Time Low just think they're Blink-182.
Well, yeah, but they've admitted that, so
Yeah,
it's fine.
So it's
and like
fine.
it's nice because like they used to always say like Mark Hoppus was dad and stuff, and now like Alex is doing shows with dad, and it's kind of cute in that respect.
But I'm also jealous because I wish it was Yumi at 6.
I just want it to be Yumi.
I want it to be Yumi at 6.
I mean, yeah, so I can understand they're doing something fun. They've released their second EP recently, and they're having a good time.
They're having a good time.
Like,
that's all that matters.
And that is all that matters. And like people like it, and people love to hate it.
People do love to hate it. Do you know what people do love to hate as well? The fact that they were bringing, I don't know if they still are, I think they are, bringing Lil Wayne on tour with them.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, that's such a weird concept. But then I'm like, Lil Wayne did that song with Fall Out Boy.
Yeah.
Paramore brought B.O.B. on tour with them.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the crossover, like, I was definitely hugely, during my peak emo, into emo music and really into hip-hop and R&B.
Yeah.
And, like, to have that crossover when Lil Wayne did that song with Fall Out Boy, I was like, oh my god. And then Paramore brought B.O.B. on tour. I was like, oh my god, I love B.O.B. You know, he's a flat earther now. He's in the same box as Tom DeLonge, so...
Actually, speaking of other members of Blink, for some reason, I don't know why, but Andy Biersack and Maskiba are writing music together. There's a video that I haven't watched. It's on Roxanne, but I didn't want to watch it, so I just got it from like the thing that they're writing music together, which I think is interesting.
As a band? For one of the bands?
New music maybe on the way with Alkaline Trio and Blink-182's Maskiba. Yeah, so he seems to be writing together with him, so they may be doing like a side project-y type thing, which is valid.
Yeah, totally valid. But it's,
and it could be interesting.
It could be an interesting sound.
Say what you want about Black Veil Brides, I don't really care. I'm not a fan.
Me neither.
I've been to see them. I think Andy is a good showman. I think the musicians independently are great. As a band and as a concept, I'm not in love with it, but it feels forced, and I think that's what I feel about it. Okay. If they are your favorite band, I'm not saying this to hurt you, I'm not saying this to hurt your feelings, I'm not saying this to invalidate your love of Black Veil Brides in any way, shape or form.
Get in touch with us and tell us why you love them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just we want to talk to you so badly, and we'll be super nice and use emojis, don't worry. But I like Andy like independently.
I don't really have an opinion on them.
Like Andy has done, like, he's released some solo stuff and it's quite good.
Mm-hmm.
Like we'll put it on the playlist for this week. No, we won't. It's on the playlist for this week, actually. One of his songs. So if you want to give that a listen, it's great. It's like a thing that whenever I have people over in the house, I'm like, listen to this song, you'll really like it. And it's good. You had more.
Yeah, Blink-182, still on the Blink-182 train. They are releasing a new album called 9. It's actually their 8th album because their first quote-unquote album was actually a demo. It's coming out on the 20th of September. It's their second album without Tom DeLonge. It has Blame It On My Youth, which is on the playlist. Dark Side, which is also released, that's on the playlist. Another song which I'm really excited about, called On My Emo Shit.
We're always on emo shit.
So I can't wait to hear that. And they also have another song, Remember to Forget Me, and I really hope it's a Shakira cover. Because she has a song of the same title.
That would be amazing.
Can't remember to forget you. You know, etc, etc. So I really hope it's a cover of Bat, because that'd be interesting. But yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing On My Emo Shit.
That would be amazing.
It's going to be our anthem.
Yeah. I mean, even if it's not good, it's still going to be our
anthem. Oh, it's still going to be our anthem. I'm interested to hear that sound from the 9th album.
Yeah.
Or from their 8th album, rather.
Some people think it's the 10th album as well, because they've got a couple of live recordings.
I think they have like 3 demos or something.
Yeah, and they have live ones, because there's the Mark, Tom and Travis show, and there's something else, and they were like, we don't count this. So it's, as far as they're concerned, it's episode 9. Episode 9? Album 9. Episode 9.
Album 9. Somebody else from Blink-182 who's been in the news recently.
the final member.
The final member. Tom. Well, we had an whole episode. Well, our last chatty episode was called Aliens Exist. Because we were talking for in depth about Tom DeLonge and what actually he was doing with his new company.
So this is just an update. We're not gonna do it again. We've already, if you want to hear it, it's episode 5, Aliens Exist. You know, that's provided you haven't listened to it already. But maybe if you want a refresher, you can listen to that episode and you'll know how we feel about this. But please, Clodagh, enlighten us.
Okay, so he did a phone interview with Enemy with a guy called Elizondo, who he is doing a show for the History Channel with. The show is called Unidentified: Inside America's UFO Investigation. So it's a 6-part series. Each episode's an hour long, kind of a documentary style thing. It says here it features military personnel and eyewitnesses who insist they have compelling evidence of extraterrestrials. He says he's had briefings with top secret government officials privy to classified proof of aliens. And to me that just sounds like something that Donald Trump would tweet.
Yeah.
It's kind of jargony, you know, fluff.
Conspiracy theory meant to reassure but not actually saying anything.
Yeah. Tom also said to Enemy that when he talked with his documentary partner about what they were going to talk about publicly, he said, believe it or not, we have very long conversations about what we're going to talk about publicly, not because we don't have the facts, but because people aren't ready for the facts.
Right. So I don't believe it, but
Sure,
why not?
Tom, he also told Enemy that he wouldn't speak about Blink-182 unless they linked the conversation to aliens. And when they asked him if he would play Blink-182 or Angels and Airwaves to an alien, he said he'd play Angels and Airwaves because if he played Blink-182 to aliens, they would get really offended and start an interplanetary war.
Maybe he should contact Jared Way and they can write a comic about this, because
to be honest, that's where it should live.
Yeah,
in a comic.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, go back to episode 5 if you want to hear our thoughts on space and Tom and travel, because I feel like
but it's not just our thoughts on it. We also actually kind of dive into what the company is, who's working for them. It is informative.
We give you facts.
We
drop the tea. We spill the tea on the floor and then mop it up with some facts.
Exactly.
So then in more recent news, so on tomorrow, I think, so it'll be Tuesday. So tomorrow, I think, A Day to Remember are playing a teeny tiny show for like 800 people for free in London, because they're playing Reading and Leeds. So we've actually recorded this just before Reading and Leeds weekend, so that has happened. So we're going to be posting stuff from that on Facebook and on Tumblr and Twitter during the week. So keep an eye out for that. We're Kids From Yesterday Pod on everything except Twitter, which is Kids From Y Day Pod. But they're playing an 800 cap show, which I'm very, very jealous about. I saw A Day to Remember, actually. The only time I've seen them has been at Leeds Festival, and that was awesome.
I'm trying to remember whether or not I've seen them. I think they supported Blink-182 at a show here. I'm like 40% sure. I know I seen 4 Years Strong, and I know all American Rejects are there, but I'm like not 100% if A Day to Remember are there or not.
That's fair.
I do really like them though. I wish that I could go see them again.
No, so do I. I quite enjoy them. Like, I know they get a lot of stick for being kind of a cliche. Like the whole "I'm coming out swinging" thing is like a pizza pop punk kid meme.
Yeah.
But,
oh yeah.
Yeah. Like it's.
I hate this town. It's all fucked up and all our friends
give it back. Yeah.
Yeah.
We know. We know. We've seen the memes. We're on the internet.
We've listened to the songs.
We're cool. But I don't know.
I really love their song All I Want, and If It Means a Lot to You.
Yes.
In the feels.
Hit me where it hurts, sir. No, but I like them quite a good bit. Another individual. No. So have you seen that Funeral for a Friend are reuniting?
I have seen that, yes.
Yeah. So they are doing special reunion tours, 2 separate dates in England to raise money for a friend who has terminal illness. So they want to raise money for their family, which is lovely. They're bringing like just these like small intimate gigs, which I know like Funeral for a Friend officially broke up a couple of years ago, I think. So it's nice that this is like, obviously they wanted to do something special and something for somebody they cared about, and they were like, well, what can we do? And then they're coming out of retirement temporarily so it's nice. It's like a sad thing, but it's a nice.
It is a nice thing.
Yeah.
It's
like
gonna be emotional, I'd say.
And I imagine like somebody like that, like if you're somebody you care about and the thing that you can do is put on a show, or the thing that you can do is write music, and you have the means and time to do it, like it's a really lovely thing to be able to do that and bring people together who know that you're celebrating this person's life, or you're celebrating this person's family or whatever. I just think that's really nice.
That is really sweet. I was never really into them. But again, that is so sweet.
It is so nice. So another thing I want to talk about, and I want to hark back to like our second episode where I said something along the lines of 21 Pilots. I had heard that there was transphobic like accusations, that I wasn't sure, I hadn't looked into it, and that I'd take that with a pinch of salt because I'm not sure. And we've talked before about cancel culture and like how we feel about that, and how like there are certain things that yes, outright you can say like fuck off, that person can get lost, and then there are certain things that you should really look into more. And I know it's been many episodes since I said this, but I recently looked it up to see what the accusations were, and I wasn't wrong in that I had seen something in 2017 where people were saying that 21 Pilots were homophobic and transphobic. And the issue was that Tyler Joseph hadn't spoken out about like supporting LGBT marriage being legalized, and he hadn't spoken out about trans rights, and he hadn't spoken out against his brother who had been tweeting homophobic and transphobic things.
Okay.
Like, I'm not condoning this in any way, shape or form. If you listen to our episode, like if this is the first time you've listened to us, we have spoken in depth about how much we care about like LGBTQ issues, how much we care about trans issues, how much we care about people in general. So I am not in any way condoning this, but I know that if it was my family member doing this, I'm not sure I'd be in a position to publicly call them out on it. I know I'd probably be told to fuck off, because if my family member is an adult, and like even if I have a whole bunch of like LGBTQ fans, or I have a whole bunch of trans fans or whatever, like not that I'm famous in any way, shape or form, but if that was me in that position, I am not sure if I would be able to publicly speak out against my family like that.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what goes on in
And
people's
that's
family.
not. Yeah.
I think the thing is like it's not like his brother is doing this at 21 Pilots shows, and his brother's doing this like on 21 Pilots accounts. This is on his personal Twitter.
Yeah.
And obviously he was like liking transphobic and posting homophobic memes and shit. Like it's I've seen some of the screenshots people took, and they're not nice at any way, shape or form, and I'm not condoning him doing that, but I just think like if you're an adult and you're in your own adult space, it must be really hard for somebody like the guys in 21 Pilots to go, oh, you're upsetting my fans, because I know that if I was like, hey, you're upsetting my readers, or you're upsetting my fans or whatever, my family would be like, can you go fuck yourself, because they're like, that's my space and I'm entitled to do whatever. So I think it's like a difficult issue. I'm not saying that there's any problem if you have decided you don't want to listen to them or be associated with them in any way, shape or form because of this, that's wrong. It's just for me personally looking at that, I can see that it's a grey area. And I know that since then they've been more open towards LGBTQ stuff, and I think like a lot of it, like it comes from fucking like forced heteronormativity, that cis straight people are really struggle with it, especially if you grow up in a very homophobic environment. And I think it takes a lot for people to, and again, I'm not condoning this in any way, shape or form, like some people just need to fucking cop on and accept that there are gay people in the world, and that's just how it is. They're not all trying to get with you. Like, just deal with it. But I think the anecdote that I think went around was that some people had told their coming out stories to them and had kind of gotten dismissed. But that comes from, like, forced heteronormativity, people not really knowing what the appropriate thing to say is, so they're like, better not say anything because I don't know how to deal with this. I don't know what the appropriate thing to say is. Like, you know, like, again, it's like, it's a difficult area.
It is. I think family life is it's a difficult thing. Yeah. Like, you don't know what someone's relationship is with somebody else in their family. Yeah. In terms of whether that's, you know, they're not friends on Facebook or they're not following each other online. Like, it doesn't mean that because they are that they're close, and it doesn't mean because they're not that they aren't close. You just do not know unless you hear it from the horse's mouth. What the situation is, because it could be a case of he can't say it from you know, it's maybe that he's not able to speak out, and it's not coming from a place of unconditional love of I love my brother no matter what. It could be from a place of fear of I can't say this because it'll damage relations, or
like, if you are somebody who's in a band who's got millions of fans and then you start an online war with a family member,
you're gonna have the spotlight on you as well.
Like, it's just a thing of, like, I understand, and I mean, we talked about this a little bit off pod about, like, we can understand exactly what it feels like to be a fan of somebody and wanting to feel safe. As women, we want to feel safe. You want to feel like you're not dealing with a predator, you're not dealing with somebody terrible, and I can understand then for, like, somebody who's trans, you want to feel like you're being accepted by the person that you're like, I look up to you, and I, you know, your lyrics get me, and I feel like this community gets me. So you can totally 1000% understand people asking for this, but I feel like there's a different way of doing it. Like, you could ask, hey, I really want you to let me know that you accept me, rather than I need you to tell your family, because there's always, and I think this happens in every single fandom, there is always a line and people don't know where it is. So I think it's perfectly reasonable to want to ask somebody, hey, am I safe with you?
Oh, 100%. Like, that's what I was just gonna say. Like, there is the case of he could have just came out and said something, like, you know, along the lines of whatever it is that he needs to say, hey, I see you, I support you, I love you no matter what, without actually referencing his brother or mentioning that at all, because that can be a difficult scenario to try and navigate. And I don't see why there's any reason why they haven't, or they didn't say something in a different capacity.
And I mean, I don't know what's been said since. I know I've seen photos of them with pride flags and stuff, so it seems that they've kind of gotten to a point of being far more comfortable. But that's great. That's kind of all people wanted. I just think when it comes to family, you're crossing a line because that person is not in 21 Pilots. That person has nothing to do with the band, and you can't really ask people to do stuff in their personal lives that maybe they're not in a position to do. I mean, like, I think a lot of straight people, or people who maybe are questioning or whatever and don't know how to deal with the concept of LGBTQ people and allyship, and who don't understand it. I mean, like, we've talked, I don't know, have we talked about this much, about, like, growing up in a very homophobic, like, environment kind of in schools and stuff?
Not on pod, really. Right,
okay. So, like, when I was in secondary school, like, I left secondary school in 2012, so, like, around that time there was a lot of bullying, and a lot of it was very like, homophobic, pretty much. And I tried to start a project when I was in 4th year, so it would have been 2010, like, an anti-homophobic bullying project, and it was shut down by parents, by the principal, by the religion, the head of religion. And, like, the thing is, it was like a thing that I was doing to try help other people in my year, because I couldn't stand it, but also, like, I just couldn't stand seeing this and not knowing how to speak up against it, because I was like, the thing was, they were always targeting people that you were like, it doesn't actually matter if they're LGBT or not. It's the point is that if they're doing this to this person without actually knowing, somebody somewhere else is hiding.
Exactly.
And it was horrible. And like you know, we referenced Daniel Howell's video, the Basically I'm Gay video, where he talked a lot about this thing, and like a lot of that resonated with me, because everything was, oh, that's so gay, and you're so gay. And like, the first time I was called a dyke was when I was 10. Like, you know, and like, I didn't know what it meant, but I knew that they wanted me to feel bad. And you're kind of like, well, sexuality and understanding has come on so much So like people who are LGBT or questioning or whatever when they're 17 now, it's such a different world because you I mean, like, you can still have this environment around you, but you have so many spaces online. You have so many brands who are like, you know, people like Brendan Urie who are like, hello, I'm pansexual, and like you have all this stuff and it's amazing.
Yeah.
But you know, they could still be going home to homophobic families. They could still be going home to like siblings who say everything is gay still or whatever, like in a derogatory negative way. But I feel like people maybe who are in those bands who have grown up in that horrible homophobic forced heteronormativity environment don't know how to deal with it when it's open and it's coming to them and people are like, hey, here's my pride flag, I am gay, or I'm like pan, or I'm like poly, or whatever they're saying that they are. Like, I just feel like there's still a cultural shift where it's amazing that so many young people can say like, I'm lesbian, and like it's fine, the world doesn't implode and it's amazing. Yeah. But I feel like there's such an issue with people our age and a little bit older where if that's not their experience, or if they've been told that you can't do that, or if they've had to bury any kind of like gayness in themselves, you don't know what to do with it. Yeah. And I feel like the criticism of them was valid because so many of their fans are LGBTQ, like so many of them. Yeah. That's something I've seen on Tumblr a lot. A lot of them are non-binary. A lot of them use they them pronouns. A lot of them will be kind of under the trans umbrella somewhere, or like some kind of like LGBTQ, like not necessarily lesbian, gay, or like bi.
But under the umbrella.
Yeah, under the umbrella. Like a lot of them are demi, or like, you know, there's just different things, and you're like, it's like the Franco Euro thing we were talking about. Yeah. I think that was in. Did we mention that in the? We did an interview. We did an interview. So on Head Stuff, you can find it on our link tree on Instagram. But we did an interview with Head Stuff, and we told Lisa Breen, who did the interview with us. I'd said that when I went to see Franco Euro on the Patience at Slam Dunk one year, the crowd was filled with like different gendered people who were LGBT, who have flags, and they were just having the best time. And it was like, that's so fucking beautiful to see. But you also see it in 21 Pilot circles. Yeah. And I can understand completely. Like, people already had the foundation of like Frank and Jared being totally open about sexuality and like whatever, like if we want to kiss each other we can and it's fine. And I feel like then you're like, when you like somebody who's presenting as so straight but you don't feel like they're super straight, that when their behavior doesn't match what you see in them, it must be really difficult. So I can understand why people were upset. That's my long-winded way of saying like, I'm sorry for saying that if that upset people, but I needed to explain what I've learned since.
Yeah, and that's really good. And then of course, on the back of all that, Fall Out Boy came along and they released a song called Gay Is Not Synonym for Shitty. Yes. And they saved saved us all.
Yeah, saved everybody.
It's actually not as common anymore to hear people use gay as an insult. I mean, I guess maybe because I'm not in school, I'm not in college. Yeah. My friends are incredible. A lot of them are LGBTQ. Yeah. We're woke, as in like a lot of people that even if you aren't LGBTQ would understand issues, and you know, are very, you know, are socialists and understand equality and stuff like that. So maybe I'm saying this from my safe space, but I don't see as many people using, even on the internet. And again, I'm in a bubble of, I have people I like. Yeah. They're all kind of, because I have no tolerance for assholes online. No. Don't use gay as an insult.
Like the F slur?
As in like, you know, shitty. That's so gay. Yeah. I don't see as many people doing that. I think I do see American people still kind of doing it on comment boards on Facebook and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you see the F slur a lot. And like that's kind of the prevailing one. And I know people who are lesbian and have had that shouted at them when they're holding like another girl's hand and stuff. And like, these are people who are older than me and they're having this experience where people are still going out of their way to be horrible. Yeah. But in Ireland, marriage equality passed in 2015, and I think there was a big cultural shift because
massively
it's not safe still for everybody. Like, nobody's saying like everything's fine now. You're
it's not. There's still people getting.
I mean, there's still abuse. Things happening. There's still inequality. Like, you can get married, but there are still things that are not equal. So like, there's a current petition going on at the moment where if you are a same-sex parent, you can only have one of the parents registered as the legal
guardian instead
parent,
of both.
yeah, instead of both. So what's happening to a lot of parents, like if they're same sex, they're going in and they're going, I am the single only parent of this child,
and they have to declare that as well.
Yeah, they have to declare it. So then it means that one parent doesn't have any rights to their child, and it's heartbreaking. Like, it's horrible. But it just, there was such a cultural shift because, like, now it's so common to see couples holding hands, like same-sex couples holding hands, and that was like, I mean, I spent a lot of my teens going, and like, as in my, like 18 to like 21, like I went to War, that was like a gay night that was on in town, and like I hung around with a lot of gay people, and I hung around like in LGBTQ circles because so many people that I was friends with were that, like, that's just where you went, like that's what we all did, we went and we hung out at these places. So for me it was normal to see it there because everybody was gay.
Everyone's in a safe space.
Yeah, everybody's in a very safe space, and like it was fine. And seeing it outside of those safe spaces, like couples holding hands, and like it's a cultural shift that's not quite there yet, but it's much better, and that's only in the last 3 years.
Yeah, I think as well though, like there, like certainly a friend of mine has recently experienced the case where she was holding hands with another woman, and you know, had abuse hurled at her. Like, there's still those things happening,
Of course, yeah.
but the fact of the matter is that there's more people visibly doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's fucking wonderful to see.
And it's just, you need people who are straight or who grew up in environments where it wasn't okay to be gay to really get with fucking times and learn that your hang-ups about this are, you can't project them onto people who are comfortable with who they are. Like, I think that's kind of the cultural thing about Queer Eye, is they're going in, they're being them, they're very out, proud and loud selves.
I know.
And it's amazing. But like, they're going into all these communities where a lot of them are like, I have never been in a room with 5 gay guys, and it's like,
I love those episodes.
That you know of. But they always receive it really well.
Yeah.
And I know that they screen people and they make sure that they're not going to be like hurt or like have horrible things said to them and stuff. And I know they have to have difficult conversations, like even off camera. But the point is that there is such a need and a desire for like people who've grown up in these environments to step up and learn that, like, you know, it's not hurting anybody for you to be trans.
Yeah.
It's like for somebody else to be trans. Like, this is, I don't want to make this into like a thing. I don't want to hurt anybody who's listening. But like the thing where people are like, oh, trans people, they want you to change their pronouns, whatever, and you're like, but it doesn't take anything out of you. Somebody goes, this is my name, and you go, cool. This is my pronoun. You go, cool. Like, there's no big deal, and I don't understand what it is, and it's just so important for people in music spaces, especially as we've spoken before about how music is a safe space.
Yeah,
it needs to be. You need to get over yourself. Like, if you're going to be a band and you want to be famous, you have to take the shit that comes with it, and the shit that comes with it is accepting people for who they are.
Exactly, and creating safe space for them, and not tolerating hate at the show. Like at that You Me at 6 gig that we went to in November.
Yeah.
There was a fight broke out in the middle of the show, and Josh like stopped everything and was like, you know, stop fighting. If you want to fight in here, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
And then at the end they ended up hugging it out, and I was like, I was so emotional. I was like, oh my god, this is so beautiful. But you know, there needs to be kind of that, like, I won't say camaraderie, but kind of like that acceptance and that kind of protection
needs to be, like,
over
default allyship. Like, even you're like, I am the straightest thing that has ever existed in the world, and I don't understand this at all, even though, like, what are you doing?
Everyone's a little
like,
bit
what are you doing? But like, even if that is your attitude, that if you are a band and you're like, I want to be famous, you have to also be like, I want to be famous and I want everyone to feel safe. Because if you don't have those two parts, there's no point.
You're missing something.
There's no point. Who is going to feel safe going to your shows? Who is going to feel safe talking to you? Like, who is going to feel safe looking up to you if you don't accept fucking half the world? Like, just...
Yeah.
Making a lot of hand gestures, but it's just like frustrating to see it.
Actually, speaking of You Me at 6, one other piece of news we have before we go. You Me at 6, well, it's tomorrow when we're recording this, but it's last Friday when you're listening to this.
Yeah, so 3 days ago.
Released a new song, new music.
Yep.
They've told us that it's going to be dark and emo, which I'm very excited about. I can't wait to hear it tomorrow, but we'll have already heard it by the time you're listening to this, and you will hopefully have already heard it. So this is a bit of a
it'll be on the playlist.
Yes, we'll put it on the playlist as soon as it's out, which is out now. This is like, what's that film called, Leonardo DiCaprio, where he goes to sleep and wakes up, where he's lucid dreaming?
Shutter Island? Shutter Island?
No, he has like the
I know. I
spinning
hate
top.
Leo. I hate him so much.
Inception. It's
Thank
like
you,
Inception.
I fell asleep during
See the
Inception.
joke, just like it's
Gone.
shy if you have to like spend 5 minutes explaining it and figuring it out.
Gone.
I didn't get it. I did not understand it. I feel like if I've seen it now, I'm a bit smarter than I was when I first came.
Yeah, and I fell asleep during Inception. It wasn't for me. It's not for you, Jen.
The whole point of that segue was so that I could Google what was the name of Yumi at Six's new song. It's called What's It Like? Tell me what it's like being perfect all the time is one of the lyrics.
What's it like though, fella?
What's it like?
What's the song like? We can't tell you because we don't fucking know.
There is some kind of music video stuff floating around and it looks kind of psychedelic almost. I am hopeful.
Me too. We'll post our thoughts on the internet.
Anyway.
So you'll possibly have already seen a thought floating around by the time you get to hear this episode. But that's fine. That's how time works. Time travel is amazing. Record in the past, post in the future.
Talk about the past in the future. It's bizarre.
Amazing.
But yeah, speaking of the future, we are going to be releasing our next episode, which will be episode 11. And that is going to be a Yumi at 6 special.
Which we're very excited about.
So that'll be out not next Monday, the Monday afterwards. And we're very excited to record that and put it out there in the world because we feel like we haven't given Yumi at 6 much love on this podcast.
No,
we haven't got a chance to talk about them and we're obsessed with them. So
I think that's fair. I think it's only fair that every band gets
their say.
Almost
every
day.
band. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If this is your first time listening to us, I'm Clodagh and this is Courtney. We're also very sorry. Sorry for the area you've just lost.
Sorry for your loss.
You can find us on Instagram at kidsfromyesterdaypod. We're at kidsfromyesterdaypod on Tumblr and Facebook. We're at kidsfromyesterdaypod on Twitter. You can check out the article we did with Lisa Breen from Head Stuff.
That's in our link tree, so you can get that on our Instagram or on our Twitter. It's in our bio.
Yeah.
It's at the very top. It just says Head Stuff article. She did an amazing job.
She did an amazing job of making sense of our shit.
Yeah, we sat and we had a really good interview with her. Like, she asked really great questions and we talked and she wrote it into an article that made it sound smart.
So we talk about kind of the beginnings of the podcast, where that stemmed from, kind of our own experiences, and
like what we hope people get out of the podcast as well. She did a great job. And she took some gorgeous photos as well.
She did. She made us. You know what? You know who I felt like when she was taking those pictures? You know, Emer McLeod and Sarah Breen when they do those photo shoots for What a Complete Ashling or Oh My God, What a Complete Ashling. They're always like sitting together and stuff. I felt like we were like them too.
I felt like we were like a small band that didn't sing.
Yeah.
Like, hi. we're famous.
Yeah. Go check that out.
We'll post some of the photos on our Instagram as well, so you'll see those as well. Probably post those next week. So people can see our beautiful faces and know that that's what they look like. Oh God.
They sound like sexy butter.
Oh, stay tuned for Sexy Butter. That's all I'm saying.
But we haven't recorded that episode, Courtney. What are you talking about? So yeah, from Dark Basement HQ,
this is us signing off. Heading to space.
We're
hanging out with Tom's aliens.
We're gonna go now.
Bye.
Bye.